Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Workshop Wednesday, where I will be making 3 different habitat backdrops that you can pick up from the workshop. The first one is pretty much grabbed straight out of the Wallaby box in Exhibitat Zoo. I just took those 2 edge pieces and straightened them out so I have one long backdrop. And then I put in a cave underneath it. I know it had one already, but I decided to change out the wood for some stone so that it has a overall more natural look. Now, using those square flat rock pieces does give a very uniform surface, so I added a few other stones, and then I decided that, well, wouldn't it be kind of cool actually if guests could potentially also walk behind the thing and then look into the cave? So I plopped in some one-way glass and, well, colored it. I realized you can actually make it nearly the same color as the rock, so it's a little bit less conspicuous. Which, of course, the whole thing required quite a bit of fixing of the back because I had not been thinking about how that looked. But I think at this point, it looks pretty... Okay, that thing next to the bird actually looks like a bird. I did not realize that. Well, there we are. The last thing I I put some plants on top of it to give it more of a sort of a background, foreground feel with those rocks in the back there. And, of course, a little platform inside the cave so that it is an actual cave-looking thing. I think it would look quite good to put sort of a sky behind the top of it. I did not do that because it looked kind of weird when you were walking behind it. So that is a prioritization that you will have to make yourselves. The next backdrop I made is inspired by / based on the Arctic Fox box, but I opted for just creating a new one from scratch because I had kind of an idea, and also I didn't necessarily want a cave in this one. Now, notice that the rocks in the back are a bit darker and a bit cooler in tone than the ones in the front. This is a little trick that I picked up in an art class. See, darker colors and cooler colors trick the eye into thinking that they're actually further away than they are, whereas lighter colors and warmer colors in the same way look as if they're a little bit closer. So that's how I created this double mountain range. And then, of course, I went in with some plants. Sticking to taiga and tundra plants for this one to make sure that they not only match visually, but will probably have a better chance of fitting within the parameters of what the animals that will have this backdrop want. And yeah, I put in a lot of rocks. It was a lot of doubling up, putting in one thing that's not quite right, adding something else, until it looked the way I wanted it. And again, the plants in front are a little bit warmer in color than the ones in the back. And of course, the coolest color of them all is the blue sky. Last finishing touches, a few more plants, and there we are. And apart from this version, I did also end up making one that has a cave. The very last backdrop that I'm making is a woodlands backdrop. There are no rocks, no cliffs, just a blue sky, some mulch, and a whole bunch of trees. First, I'm using these driftwood pieces, and again, the ones in the back just a little bit darker and cooler, and the 2 that you can see, 3 now, that are supposed to be a bit closer to the guests are tiny bit lighter in color. I'm doing the same thing with the plants, finding some really nice dark ones for the furthest away trees, and then using these crowberry that are a little bit brighter for the middle row of trees. And then for the front row, that took a lot of trial and error. I have way too much going on here, which I pretty quickly realized and deleted all of it. And then I went for some live trees for that, because they look more like trees, obviously. And then I tried a lot of, let's just speed through that part. So many attempts, so much failure, until success, which is, I guess, kind of how the world works, isn't it? If you never fail, you will never learn, and if you never learn, you will never get any better at anything. Anyway, I put in some tiny little rocks and some tiny little leaves in that dead log with the mushrooms that I love. Finished it up with some ferns, and here is the final result. Or so you would think, because when I saved the thing, something went horribly wrong. So if you like the Woodlands background, well, I showed you how to make it.